Wait, I'm not ready to rumble. Where the heck am I? Welcome to Channel Security Secrets. I'm Lou Raban. On this show, we expose the untold secrets and critical insights from the people shaping the future of cybersecurity sales in the Trusted Advisor channel. If you're looking to up your game around selling security, stick around. Channel Security Secrets is brought to you by Cyber Defense Group, on a mission to shift cybersecurity from reactive to resilient. Hi, everyone. I'm stoked to chat with our guest today. He's a trusted advisor, advocate, channel fanatic, and technology sales leader, known for his background in direct sales and sales leadership across telecom and managed service providers. A recognized thought leader, he's shared his insights at major industry events like Channel Futures Leadership Summit. In his previous role at SecureServe, he led a nationwide sales team to surpass revenue goals, delivering innovative technology solutions to the SMB market. He's currently a channel director at Avant Communications. Mark McGuire, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Lou. Appreciate the intro.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm stoked to talk, and let's kick it off with what the biggest secret is to your success in the channel.
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination of things that have led me to where I am, but I think part of the secret sauce and why I've seen some success here is that I didn't come from the channel. So kind of a little bit of an outside hire from that perspective. And so I've spent the majority of my career on the direct sales side of things. And then for the previous 15 years prior to joining Avant, I was in direct sales leadership. And so being able to kind of tie in some of that experience and that knowledge of working with direct sales teams, client success teams over the years, and being a direct rep myself for a number of years into some of the conversations I'm having with trusted advisors around their own sales strategies, how to cross sell, how to upsell, how to develop go to market strategies, even how to hire sales folks and retain talent. Has all kind of parlayed into maybe some different value adds that have helped me see success in this market in particular for Avant.
Yeah, that I think that makes sense. What do you think is like the biggest difference between direct sales and channel sales?
I don't know that there's a huge difference from my perspective because I approach this as I did with the direct sales side as like my customers were my focus, right? And here at Avant, our TAs, our trusted advisors, are our customers. So they're my sole focus. And so where I was working on the direct sales side, trying to evaluate needs and understand where the opportunities might lie for sales to happen in those instances, on the trusted advisor side, it's really been more about trying to understand the opportunities for growth within the trusted advisor kind of organizations that we work with and understanding how they can elevate. How do I help enable them? How do I help to support them? So it's very similar, but it's just a little bit different of a lens that you're looking through when it comes to evaluating that. And I think that maybe it's a unique perspective that I might have on that, but I don't think there's overall a huge difference in that other than instead of dealing with directly with an end user client, I'm kind of coaching that trusted advisor to get to that finish line with their client.
Yeah, it should be a bit easier because you're speaking the same language, right?
Very much so, and I always have heard this about being at a TSD. You're kind of like Switzerland, right? Like you're not really representing a company with a solution to sell. You're kind of just being that agnostic voice and helping support with resources and different pieces of literature and research reports and platforms to try to help guide their conversations with the decision making process within their client base. So yeah, it's a little bit different from that perspective, and it's refreshing to be honest.
Yeah, and you've seen it change in the time that you've been in it?
In terms of
Just like the way because the typical channel, back in the day was more of kind of telecom and circuits and things like that. So did you come in at a time when that was still happening, or, have you seen that change, or you just came into its current evolution?
Yeah, I kind of came into its current evolution. I've been with Avant for about 2 years, so they were very much ingrained in kind of beyond the connectivity piece, beyond what is traditionally, to your point, been in the channel, and really kind of focusing more on how do we get more wallet share? How do we help customers more outside of just maybe standard UCaaS or connectivity and start branching into cloud and cybersecurity, SD-WAN, all those sort of things?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm kinda leading you down the path of the
Yeah.
cyber area, which is great because we've been in the channel now for about 3 plus years. I mean, I had experience of the channel before that, but, as someone that was trying to convince them to sell security, but in the last 3 years, it's obviously become more important. So what do you how are you enabling your TAs, to sell security, or are you even seeing that that's something that they're coming to you for?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. I would say the first probably 6 months of my tenure at Avant, I didn't see a ton. And then through some of the events that we had done in the market, some of our elevates and some of the kind of more focused vendor kind of engagements that we had done, we started to see more of it come through. And so, really, when you come to looking at what a TSD like Avant offers in terms of resources and how to kind of guide a trusted advisor down that path, Avant has like limitless resources in that regard. So it's been really great to see different trusted advisors who maybe weren't talking security before or weren't confident talking about it before are now starting to get into those conversations. And then when they get kind of too deep into the pool, they know they can lean on us. We've got their back. They can call us in with our engineers, with our platform, with Pathfinder, and really help them kind of progress that opportunity towards the finish line.
Yeah, and I mean, the 2, big resources are obviously Stefan and Rick, who we
Oh yeah.
love. They're great to work with, and they know their stuff. And so you're seeing more sell security, and trying more TAs trying to sell security. Do you find are they finding it difficult, do you think, to make that transition?
I don't know that they're finding it difficult once they start asking the questions. And I think once they start to take the plunge and they start to invest in learning about this space and talking about this space and taking some of the trainings and reading through case studies and that sort of thing, I think that they find that the conversation, depending on the client, depending on the vertical and the size of the organization that they're talking to, of course, but I think they're starting to see that the conversation is just like everything else, right? It's finding what is the need, where are they trying to get to, what outcomes are they trying to have affected, and really just kind of reverse engineering it back to sales basics, sales 101. It's just you're talking about a different flavor of ice cream at this point.
Yeah, and it's solutions, right? You
All
you wanna speak
solutions.
about solutions, yeah, not a transactional sale, and
Nope.
and I think it's been hard for some that have more of that transactional mindset, but, as a trusted advisor, as the channel matures, I think that that's going out the window, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, we see that. I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but certainly month over month. The transactional stuff is always going to be there, and that's certainly going to be more of that reactive piece. But when you start talking about cybersecurity, when you start talking about some of these more mature solutions and more sophisticated solutions, to your point, it does become a little bit more of a long-term planning process and a more strategic conversation, and certainly isn't necessarily a quick win, but the dividends are going to pay on the backside of that with, as we all know, this stuff grows exponentially month over month, year over year. So,
Oh yeah, big time. And also, security gets this unique ability to see the entire environment. So when we go in, we start asking questions like, "Yeah, what's your tech stack? What do you have infrastructure wise?" And not that we're because we don't touch that. We're not reselling that as CDG at least. And so we're not competing with the TA. We're actually providing more opportunities and intel for them. So it is in their best interest to like have this relationship, introduce us or introduce security with a good partner because then they can get a ton more deals and be stickier. Yeah. Yeah. And the trust part of the trusted advisor, when you solve problems that are related to risk and that have visibility at the C-suite, that's golden for the TA because then they just get more work.
absolutely. Yep. Once you establish that trust, and you can really start to help them roadmap their future, and be truly a trusted advisor and be part of that kind of the fabric of that organization, to where they're not just coming to you because they think they need something, but they're literally looking at you month over month or quarter over quarter to help them kind of map out the future, because of all the knowledge that you have behind you from all the clients you're working with.
Yeah, Big time. And, Avant having some of these resources, as you mentioned, you shared a couple with me that are really good. I had a read of them. And again, I think it was Stefan and Rick that contributed heavily to them. So these are the resilience guides. Are you seeing good uptake with that?
I haven't seen a ton yet, but, granted, they came out kinda late in the year, and then with the holiday push and everything, like that, I think we'll see more uptick going into this year. I have had a lot of conversations with TAs around not only the, State of Disruption Business Resilience report that we put out, but the playbook that we put out, which is an accompaniment to the actual report that takes all of the knowledge that's really more customer facing in that report to be, how do you take that and turn that into some tactical kind of motions as a trusted advisor and have the conversations and reframe questions that you're already having. So we have had conversations around that, and I know that it's being introduced to their clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a quick read of these. It's really a great resource. So I'll see if we can link that and we'll talk about, at least maybe whoever's listening, if you want a copy of that, reach out to Mark and we'll give him your contact info at the end.
Sure.
And what are some of the conversations that TAs are having around security if you're privy to that? I know a lot of MDR is the biggest thing that's sold in the channel, and we see that a lot. But are there what other conversations are they having, if any?
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool from my perspective because I've got trusted advisors that work, enterprise accounts. They go whale hunting, and then I've got trusted advisors, and I would say the bulk of them work in the SMB space. And I think the SMB space is always kind of an interesting look because obviously they're restricted by budget. They're usually in growth mode. They're kind of all over the place, and that's just kind of the nature of a small business, and it's what makes them great. And I think that what we're starting to see is more of those smaller organizations start to realize over time here that security is really, really important, and it's a
Yeah.
kind of a non-negotiable. And so where they may have initially thought, years ago that, having antivirus or maybe training my employees not to click malicious links or how to spot those might have been enough to kind of check a box and make them feel good at night. Now they're realizing that they need the help of like an MSP, right, or an MSSP to really, even if they're a smaller organization, have a second set of eyes on the network to have full visibility, to respond to alerts, AI SOC, and all those different things that are rolling into the ecosystem. I think are really starting to make an impact, and these small businesses are really starting to see how that can be beneficial to them. Not only just to have some peace of mind, but it's also helping with like tool consolidation, and it's helping with
Okay.
cost consolidation. Especially post COVID, everybody kind of scrambled, which it's hard to believe COVID was like what 6 years ago at this point almost.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But we're still seeing plenty of effects from that because people went out, businesses went out and just bought a whole bunch of point solutions to try to patch whatever they could or fix whatever they could to try to stay in operational mode. And now you've got all this tool sprawl. And
Yep.
so it's how do you rein that in? And so what we're seeing is there's a lot of great suppliers in the portfolio that are bringing together with some unified tools and being able to consolidate that and making the executive's life a lot easier, and again, providing that peace of mind that the operation is going to be secure or at least resilient.
Yeah, SMB is definitely a challenge. Unfortunately, to your point, they understand security is important. They don't have the budget to do the things that they need to do. But I think you hit the nail on the head with having these all-in-one solutions for the SMB side, which is that can be dangerous for some, but it wouldn't work in the enterprise because they've
Right.
already they've got multi-million-dollar spend on tools that they've had for years, and they're these 3-year deals, and they're not powerful enough. The all-in-one solutions are really a stopgap for the lower end of the market, but there are solutions. I think the point is it doesn't matter what area of the market you're in now. Couple years ago, you wouldn't find SMB solutions. It
Right.
was either enterprise security. Maybe if you were mid market, you'd be spending a subset of that. But SMB was just left to defend itself, and now there's a ton out there that are trying to grab that and help them out.
Hmm. Absolutely.
What about what kind of advice would you give to TAs that haven't sold security before but they want to get into it?
I would say just take the plunge. Look, it's an area where any customer that you have as a trusted advisor, no matter the size, has some level of security that they need help with. And
Mhm.
it's in their mind, right? And so I always tell trusted advisors that if you're not having that conversation, someone else is, right? And that spend is going elsewhere. And so if you're not confident with having that conversation, take the plunge. And what I mean by that is lean in with the vendor community, right? Align yourself with a few core vendors within our ecosystem that you've got great relationships with, excuse me, you trust, that can keep you apprised of what's happening in their space, right? What they're seeing from what their clients are talking about, different case studies, marketing material, right? Set up a cadence where you can have that kind of engagement. And that's on the vendor side. On the TSD side, lean in with Avant, lean in with your
Mm.
TSD, because whether it's via Pathfinder, through all of the trainings that we have, all the certifications you can get on security, it's all self-paced learning, very easy to understand. You've also got our resources. You mentioned Stefan and Rick. We got a whole team, right? Subject matter experts that are literally, that's all they do is live, eat, and breathe cybersecurity and business resilience. So they'll be happy to jump on a call with you as a trusted advisor for 30 minutes and literally sit there and educate you about what they're seeing in the market, depending on vertical specificity or within an industry or an organizational size. So you have a lot of different things at your fingertips that you can literally take advantage of to be able to get comfortable, get to a point where you can have that conversation, and you'll surprise yourself. Just like when a trusted advisor first got into selling connectivity or selling UCAS, right? They didn't know everything that they needed to know, but as they had those conversations, they realized that they probably know more than they think they do. And at the end of the day, your decision makers, especially on the SMB side, but even up market a little bit, they don't want to talk about bits and bytes and all this technical jargon. And I think that's where TAs fear that it's not that they
Mhm.
fear the first question, it's they fear the follow-up questions. They fear the second and third
Exactly.
questions. And that's where I say, even with some of the resources that Avant has, like our interactive quick assessments, you can launch those out to a client, have them fill it out. Our team will respond to them. And then from there, that's where you've got the back end resources, right? Tap us on the shoulder, let us come and get in the game for you. And you'll learn through osmosis through those conversations. So, I'm rambling a bit here, but the possibilities are limitless in terms of resources. So the bottom line is just take the plunge. Make 2026 the year that you're going to learn more about security, and make it a goal to sell cybersecurity, sell business resilience, whatever you want to call it, to 10 of your clients this year, right? And between that goal and a fresh new start on the year and all the resources they have at their fingertips, it's more than attainable.
Yeah, yeah, totally, and by the way, we're here to ramble, so ramble on, man. Like, reminds me of a song, but, it's great advice. I think, you also, hit a good point, which is that fear of, "Okay, well, I'm gonna open the door, and then this Pandora's box of jargon and stuff is gonna come flowing at me," but your great point there, Mark, is that when you're speaking to a decision maker, they're not going to get in the weeds, or they shouldn't be getting in the weeds with technical stuff. They're
Right.
going to say, okay, how can you solve my problem? And then that's where it's like, well, I know a guy, and that's Stefan's famous phrase, and you mentioned, yeah, Avant has awesome resources. Obviously, the suppliers and vendors like us, you can rely on us too, and typically we'll get that pass as well. Maybe Stefan or Rick are going to make that first pass and kind of warm up the terrain for us, and then they pass it to us, and then we help the TAs navigate that whole thing, and then yeah, they're going to figure it out by it's repetition, right? You
Hmm.
just like anything, you have enough of the conversations. There's a certain tempo that happens, a certain pattern that you're going to start to see them like okay, and then they get more comfortable with it, depending on how quickly they learn. If they're more technical, we do have some sellers that are definitely very good at the tech side, and it's easier for them because they're speaking the same language, but it's not necessary. Even if you're not technical, you just bring the technical people in and you sit back, kick the door open and let the tech people do the work. So
Yeah, and it's really just about, starting the conversations. I mean, if I was a trusted advisor today and I didn't feel comfortable with security, I would look at my existing base of customers And let's say I had 50 clients. I would maybe take the top 10, right? Using the 80-20 rule. Those 10 are kind of my they provide 80% of my income. So I'm going to save those, right, until I get maybe a little bit more comfortable with some of the lower tier clients. But every one of those clients, no matter the size, is going to have a need here, right? They're going to be worried about risk. They're going to be worried about uptime. They're going to be worried about internal employees clicking something they shouldn't. So start with them and start having those conversations. Have some, strategic business reviews where you can roadmap this stuff out to understand where the opportunities might lie. And then to your point, as you kind of get those reps, as you get that conversation kind of going, and you lean on these resources, you'll be able to build into that. And now you can go approach those larger clients of yours and really see the impact of what you're going to do to help them be more secure. Because I think
Yep.
security is also like it's just inherently, security's like if I cold call a bunch of new prospects that have never heard of my organization as a trusted advisor, and I'm sitting there trying to talk about security posture to them or making them more resilient, naturally their defenses are going to go up because that's security, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of 101. So if you're a trusted advisor listening to this, go back to your existing base where you have the trust of those clients. You've done business with them before. Let's figure out how we can, again, using the tools, using the resources, using uh, whatever you want to from or whether it's our bag of tricks or from Pathfinder or whatever you've got, go into those clients and let's start having those conversations from a roadmap perspective and figuring out where those opportunities lie because there's opportunity in every single one of these clients.
Big time. And it's a great point that, mining the base that they already have, using those trusted relationships because as you mentioned, and you cold call someone. I can't imagine. I really don't think there's a lot of security being sold on cold calls. And, we realize that too. That's why we're 100% channel focused now
Right.
because, it's peer to peer. And in a traditional organization, it's like, my network only goes so far. I've got to leverage this trusted network. And so the TSD environment, TAs, that's hence the term trusted advisor. Again, they're already in there having other conversations and have already shown solutions and help their customers out. So it's an easy jump. I think one of the other problems that they have is often the TAs are speaking to the IT people, right? Or someone in the IT organization, or even the CIO or CTO. And security is a completely different silo in so many other organizations, especially the bigger ones. So, any advice for jumping that fence from the more technical side to the security team?
I mean, I think you gotta realize where the value in the conversation lies. I saw this a lot at the MSP because we would often, our sales teams there would call into organizations that maybe had an IT director or an IT manager, something like that. And they almost looked at us as a little bit of a threat, right? And we're going to come in there and take their
Yeah.
job, and it was really just kind of shifting the mindset of that to talk about, well, we're not here to do that. We're here to help augment what you actually want to be doing, which isn't, running the day to day. You want to be working on strategic initiatives. That's what your executives want you to be working on. And so I think that just kind of reframing the conversation with the IT director to try to break into that security side of the house to say, hey, let's talk about some of these things. Let's talk about tool sprawl and cost pressures. Let's talk about distributed workforce risk. Let's talk about how to mitigate that risk. Those are things that the IT director is may or may not be akin to. Or in tune with because they may not be on that security side. But you start throwing out words like that, and that should be able to get you at least a meeting with that person to be able to say, hey, this IT director trusts us because we help them with network, we help them with the the UCAS system we're talking on right now was implemented by us. So let's take a shot at the security piece because we can also help you with that. And again, help you kind of consolidate some of these things down and give you an outside perspective that sometimes you may not have because as we all know, you kind of get locked into your own world and you
Yep.
don't really kind of see the forest through the trees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially when you've got resources that might have been there 10, 15, 20 years,
Yeah.
in one environment. It doesn't matter how many conferences they go to or how many training courses they take. Well, you take an organization like ours or anyone that's got, tens, dozens, hundreds of clients. and they're, the stuff that we've seen across different industries and stuff. Yeah, that's priceless compared to, not having seen that. So that doesn't discount what those people on site, they've got tribal knowledge. They're keeping the lights on. They're super important, but having that outside perspective, the ability to come in and see things with fresh eyes. I always make fun, or make a joke about consultants when, it's kind of like with your partner. You could be walking down the street with your wife, or whomever, and you've told her 100 times, "Hey, if we do this, it's a good idea," and she's like, "Whatever." Some stranger on the street comes and says, "Hey, you should do the exact same thing you've been telling her for 100 times," and she's like, "Wow, that's a great idea,"
Right.
because it came from someone outside.
Yeah, and to your point about the fresh eyes, I mean, that's again, not to continue to sell Avant here, but the resources that we have, right? I mean, Steph and Rick, their whole team sits on dozens of calls every single week that are client facing and all over the
Yeah,
world, right? So they're hearing in all different verticals, all different industries, all different size of businesses, and within specific departments, problems that are trying to be solved. They're hearing about the latest compliance and regulations that are coming out. They're hearing about all of this stuff from an industry perspective, and so that's again where like. Uh, that kind of secret sauce can come into the equation and jump into the conversation. And whether it's something that person has already heard or maybe read, now they're hearing it in real world stories from people that are literally doing this on a day-to-day basis with that kind of agnostic view to say, hey, here's maybe a better way to build this mousetrap to make the organization, make the entire IT estate more resilient, because that's going to create freedoms around the other sides of the organization and open you up to be able to do other things once this foundationary stuff is kind of set. And so those kinds of talk tracks, to your point, maybe it's just saying it a little bit differently, but to hear it that way can certainly start to open the doors and at least get the conversation started.
yeah, big time, big time. So from a supplier perspective, vendors, partners that you're using, what, and obviously we are a partner, with Avant, very strong, relationship. But I'm curious, what are the ones that you like to work with? What can you tell, providers, or vendors that want to get in with Avant? Like, what are some of the strong points? What are you looking for?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I'm not on the just full transparency. I'm not on the vendor engagement team, not on the vendor management side of the house. But from what I see, we get roughly about 3 to 5 vendors a day asking to be part of the portfolio, and we're very selective as to who we bring in. They really have to obviously address a gap, right? They have to have a unique offering in the space. And there's a lot of security companies out there, and I'm sure they all do really great things. But Avant has a very particular way of going through their kind of criteria as to how they want to select vendors to be able to, again, address a gap, address a need, or bring to market something that maybe isn't in our ecosystem today. And so, I mean, some of the best providers that we work with that I've seen personally, I won't name any names just to keep it agnostic here, but they understand the channel like the back of their hand, right? I mean, it is part,
Mhm.
much like CDG, it's a part of their everyday motion. It's where
Mm.
they focus their attention, so they're putting in the resources, and those channel managers, those channel directors from those organizations, they really work really closely with the trusted advisors to train them, to enable them, to give them the support that they need, much like we can do from the Avant side, but obviously just for their specific company and their specific products and solutions. But they really do lean in hard with those trusted advisors to be able to do things like account mapping, right? And see where opportunities might lie in an existing client base. And so really having that motion and understanding how the channel operates is really important. And I know certainly a big part of the criteria for Avant bringing on a new vendor.
Yeah, yeah, we've heard about a number of organizations, vendors that come into the channel, do it for like a year. They say, "Okay, this isn't working," and then they pull out, and,
Yeah.
it's frustrating for both sides. And yeah, what we've learned is you need to commit, and you need to commit over the long haul. You can't just kind of dip your toe in and then leave. This is not a 1 year, 12 month, kind of horizon. This is basically a 5 to 10 year horizon where you got to be looking at it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it takes you think about the Avant portfolio. We've got roughly 400 different vendors that obviously span the entire tech stack. But if you think about even us having to learn a little bit about each one of those vendors, right, as channel directors for Avant, it's a lot to learn. It's a lot to stay on top of. And so having that constant communication is really critical from my perspective with the suppliers, to be able to understand what's new, what's coming, what they're seeing, and just to kind of bring that all into focus for our trusted advisors, because they're also getting bombarded, right? I mean, there's plenty of vendors that see a technology company as a trusted advisor, and whether they're in the channel or not, they're reaching out to that trusted advisor to try to get them to sell their solutions as well. And so, really making sure, to your point, that that channel motion is there and it's there for the long-term investment. That's what a lot of the trusted advisors are also looking at too, right? That's a key question that comes up: is how long have you been in the channel,
Mm,
and what is your how much of your sales come from the channel, because they want to understand that this is going to be something that if they do bring a client to those suppliers, that they're going to be well taken care of, their clients are going to be well taken care of, and they're going to be a true partner with that organization for the long haul.
yeah. Yeah. It's good advice. I hope everyone's listening. If you're a vendor or supplier, this is golden. Uh, Mark, what's exciting you about the future within the channel and tech?
I mean, the cool thing about what we do is nothing ever regresses. It just accelerates. And so,
Yeah.
even looking at, like, every year I go to Special Forces, which is our big annual summit, and every year it's like, how does this keep getting better and better and better? And with the content, and with where we're headed as an industry, right? And you see what's happening. There's some slides that we often talk about, and you hear Ian and Drew talk about this in some of their keynotes, but just where the opportunity is headed, for the channel within the next 10 years, or now I guess 9 years, right? And by 2035, $100 billion is forecasted to be produced through the channel or sold through the channel. In 2018, it was like 2 billion. A few years later, it was six. And what's interesting is when Avant puts together these reports, these state of disruption reports, we put a big one together every couple of years, and we interview 501 CIOs, CTOs, IT decision makers, kind of across the spectrum, right? Small business, large business, enterprise, all different verticals. And we basically ask them where they are on their digital transformation journey. What's holding them up? What are they worried about? Why haven't they made certain moves? And it's always very interesting, the data points that come back from that. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is when we launched that report back in 2021, 67% of those that we interviewed said that they're leveraging a third party, like a trusted advisor, like a consultant firm, to help them navigate these types of decisions, right? Technology is just coming at these decision makers too fast. They can't
Mm,
parse it out. So they need help. So 67% of them said they were utilizing a trusted advisor essentially to help them navigate that. 3 years later, that number jumped to 84%. We anticipate that when this new report comes out, it'll be somewhere in the low to mid 90s for that. So the
wow.
trend is basically, is certainly rising in that direction, to where people are looking for trusted advisors at this point. Companies are looking for this. They realize it's a better way to buy and procure technology, because it also helps lower their risk, because they're getting kind of a vetted and unvarnished look at what's happening in the industry without being necessarily sold something from a really good direct seller at a particular company. So I'm most excited about the opportunity overall. I think from the technology side, when we see things like all of the noise around AI that's happening right now, we see it a lot in CX, in customer experience, on that side, but also just in all the other areas where AI is literally impacting every single area of the tech stack that we're exposed to. That's exciting, and it's also a little bit terrifying, because we need to understand how to put some resilient measures around that to make sure that organizations are still staying safe. So I think what excites me about the future and where we're headed is that, there's not going to be a dull day, or a going through the motions day in this industry for a very long time. It's always exciting. It's always something new. And from where I sit, and the great trusted advisors that I support in South Florida, knowing that all of these clients that they're working with are looking to them even more today than they ever have been for help in making these types of decisions, is really, really exciting for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's a a real testament to the channel. I didn't know those numbers that you quoted with the growth, but it makes sense. Like I said, I remember even 5 years ago plus, we could just put a website out there, SEO, get some inbound calls, without even really trying. And now, even having outbound and hiring marketing agencies and trying to get new customers just direct in a cold way, we don't do it anymore because it's a waste of money for we're not IBM or Ernst and Young. We need to we don't have brand name recognition. So if you're and even those companies that do have brand name recognition, as you see, they're increasingly investing in the channel too. I can tell because they keep pushing our logo down in on the banners every year. And but it makes sense. They're seeing that speaks to the power of the channel and where they see the future going too. So
Yeah, well, and I also think you've got an interesting thing happening in organizations, just from a leadership perspective, right? You've got multiple generations that have done business very differently, generation over generation, that are now, the millennials are certainly making quite a few more decisions today than they ever did in these organizations, and then you follow that up with the subsequent generations, and so you have kind of that. Um, Legacy way of thinking where it's like RFPs and that kind of slower procurement model is very quickly fading out, because you
mhm,
realize that if I launch an RFP today, for some initiative around business resilience or IT resilience, by the time all of that gets fully vetted and implemented, it's probably going to be out of date. Right. And
right.
so I think the younger generations that are now making some of these decisions, or at least influencing a lot of them within these organizations, are really helping to fuel the more rapid, hey, let's adapt quicker. And that's really where I think the channel, where TSDs like Avant can really help excel, because we have that sort of technology and the platform to help make those IT decisions that much quicker. And so that's really going to help to kind of spin this whole thing up. It's just another dynamic that I've been looking at more closely recently, because I've seen it started to kind of come to fruition over these last couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good point. The speed of decisions is increasing, no
Yes.
doubt. And you mentioned where you're at Florida. We're gonna transition more to how you got here, and I can't help but notice our alma mater on your the rear. It's been everything I can do to not speak about Florida State football on this podcast, but how'd you get here from where you mentioned a little bit about being a traditional sales guy that moved and sales leader that moved into the channel, but tell me about your journey.
Yeah, so I've been in Florida for a long time. I'm originally from North Dakota, so I shouldn't be anywhere near the equator or an ocean. Uh, but coming out of college, Florida State, was supposed to be a yacht captain. So I've got my captain's license. I've run yachts for a number of years and still do it from time to time. But 2008 economy crashed, right? Recession hit. And the company I was going to work for said, "Hey, we can't hire you." So I found myself at a CLEC, out of Miami, and that's where I kind of cut my teeth in sales and excelled there, and eventually got promoted into sales leadership. Moved a couple of times with that organization. Eventually ran the state for that CLEC. For about 10 years, I was there, and then moved over to Comcast Business for a brief stint, before jumping to VP of sales role at the MSP that we talked about earlier. So, kind of some different experiences, but a lot of it has been based in sales leadership. And when I was interviewing with Avant, one of the gentlemen that was interviewing me said, "How are you? Why are you here? Like, how are you going to parlay this into, helping trusted advisors?" And really, I think where my love of leadership was, and where I really felt that I was called to be in those positions, was I loved seeing my sales reps succeed. And I
Mhm.
always got so jazzed when they would get a sale, no matter how big or how small it was, because I just liked seeing them grow. I liked seeing them come in as kind of a raw unpolished, wannabe sales professional, and through the training, through the learning, through the development, be able to be effective in that role and see success that they didn't think was possible. And so being able to now do that with trusted advisors with their own business, right? Not just a sales rep, but
Mhm.
being able to help coach them and guide them and enable and support them to help them grow their business to better themselves, their family, their legacy, all of those great things has been really, really rewarding for me. And it's something that that's the main reason I get out of bed every morning is because I'm so excited to help them on that journey. And so that's how I got here. And that's I know we didn't talk too much about Florida State in that instance, but yeah, go Knowles.
Maybe, we still have a couple seasons to rebuild, but we'll see if yeah, we will
Brutal.
not get into that on this call. You also have a podcast yourself, right? Or what like
Yeah.
Florida guy? Yeah, I love it.
Florida Men Highlights with my good
There you
peer
go.
and colleague and friend Micah French. Yeah, so it's fun. It's authentic, right? It's not polished at all. It is we call ourselves one take wonders because it's one take and that's it. But we it's much shorter than this, right? Just a handful of minutes. But we talk about what's happening in our respective regions. We talk about what's happening within Avant. We talk about upcoming events and really just try to bring a little bit more of a personalization because every territory, operates a little bit differently. And Florida certainly is a melting pot of a bunch of different cultures. And particularly, post COVID, a lot of folks have moved here,
Oh, yeah.
and so we feel like being authentic in those is really really critical. And so it's fun to do. So yeah.
That's awesome, and, you're also a fellow drummer,
Mm.
so you're a renaissance man, Mark. You got the yachting, you got drumming, you got, all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah, the drumming thing is great. I played drums all through, high school, in honors jazz band just to boost my GPA. And then got to college and started a band with a bunch of fraternity brothers of mine. And all my whole goal in college, by the way, was like for with the band was to get paid to play. Like I just wanted to get paid to play music. And I didn't realize in a college town like Tallahassee how easily that was going to be accomplished. And so but we recorded a little CD, and so it's kind of a nice souvenir of college. But I still play today with in a couple different areas. But yeah, it's great. So a lot of fun behind the kit.
That's awesome. Maybe anyone in South Florida. I know you play out once in a while, so
Yeah.
they'll have to check you out, including me. I got to come down there and see you. But where can people connect with you?
Easiest way is going to be on LinkedIn. And then, of course, we'll put my contact information at the bottom
Yep.
here. But that's the easiest way to connect with me. Feel free to email me, and we'll jump on a call and have a conversation about anything we covered here or anything else you want to know about Avant.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark McGuire. It has been really a great journey going through, how you got here. Great insights on what's important, how to succeed in the channel. Really has been a phenomenal time.
Thank you for the time, Lewis. It's been great. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thanks to everyone that's watching and or listening too. If you learned something today or laughed, had fun, please tell someone about this podcast. Thanks again, Mark. And this has been another exciting episode of Channel Security Secrets. See you next time. That's a wrap for this episode of Channel Security Secrets. Thanks for tuning in. For show notes, guest info, and more episodes, visit us at channelsecuritysecrets.com. Channel Security Secrets is sponsored by Cyber Defense Group. When it comes to protecting your business, don't settle for reactive. Partner with experts who build resilience from the ground up.